Hello everyone, Zai here. Now that all the MSQ dungeons from A Realm Reborn, Heavensward, and Stormblood have been updated for duty support, Yoshi P has made a somewhat unexpected announcement that they will be gradually adding support for non-MSQ dungeons as well. We can see the list of upcoming dungeons on the duty support, but as of patch 7.1, only Halatali has been updated. Let's jump in and see what's new here. First of all, there doesn't seem to be any changes to the dungeon layout or the trash mobs. The path deviations are still here, the winches still need to be pulled to progress, and even the optional boss, Pit Pace, still spawns when nearing this coffer with the same moveset. The main changes are in the bosses and their arenas. As we head towards the first boss, you'll notice that the giant bonfire is now gone and the arena is nice and flat. You can even see that the side passages where the old fire ant spawned are now blocked off. The old version of Fireman was very simple. Once the fight began, ants would spawn beside the torches in the side passages and move towards the campfire in the center of the room. When any of these ants touch the campfire, they will burst and deal red-white damage to the entire party. That's it, that's the mechanic for this boss. This fight was mainly a healer-centric fight, requiring the healer to occasionally throw out an AoE heal. While the party could kill the ants to minimize the red-white damage, the party typically just rushes the boss down since it's annoying to chase and target the ants, compared to just focusing down one static target. The new version of Fireman drops the entire ants mechanic, and instead cycles between 3 different attacks. First, it has Fire 2, which drops an AoE on a player. Second, it has Fire Flow, which creates an alternating pizza AoE. Lastly, Burning Bolt is a targeted tank buster, complete with the tank buster markers that we are so accustomed to now. The new Fireman is still a walk in the park, but it's far more engaging, especially for DPSs and tanks, since they actually have something to do now. On the way to the second boss, you will notice that the right ramp has been blocked off. Mechanically, this doesn't change anything at all since both the left and right ramps are the same, but it's an interesting observation. The old Thunderclap quiver wasn't really a fun fight and felt like a time waster. Its main mechanic was turning invulnerable and charging the water, causing it to apply electrocution to anyone standing on it. Though it was supposed to be imbuing the water with lightning, the water looked more like a pool of acid. Quiver will also summon a set of ants that you will have to kill twice. In this state, Quiver will also cast Electrify, dropping an AoE on a random player. Once the ants are defeated, the water returns to normal and the Quiver is targetable again. This mechanic happens twice in the fight when Thunderclap Quiver has taken enough damage. Outside of this, it will also cast Levin Shower and Interruptor Kono AoE. This boss isn't difficult and is more engaging than the first boss, but it just felt like a time waster since you spend most of the time waiting for things to happen, like waiting for the ants to come to you. The new Thunderclap Quiver by comparison feels much better to fight. Like before, the main mechanic of this fight, now with the name Hydroelectric Shock, features the boss charging up the pool. However, this time the pool of water starts glowing purple, and after a lengthy amount of time, it does damage to anyone standing in it. The best change to this is that the boss is now no longer invulnerable while it's doing this attack, so we can continue beating it down. Likely due to the lack of an invulnerability phase, the ants are also removed from the fight. Like before, this mechanic happens twice in the fight when it's damaged enough. Outside of his big mechanic, Thunderclap Quiver will cast Levin Fang, a targeted tank buster, and Electrify, the ground AoE that was previously only used when the boss is invulnerable, returns. I don't know if the boss takes the same amount of time to kill as before, since I was trying to prolong the fight to see all the max, but I'd rather the boss having more health than having the fight be artificially lengthened by uninteractive invulnerable mechanics. For the last boss, the arena remains more or less unchanged. The fight is also relatively similar, with some new moves added. For the old Tangata,
Me? Gungaga.
For the old Tangata, its main mechanic was becoming invulnerable, pooping a puddle of fire around itself and spawning two types of ants. The first is a set of ants spawned from the torches around the room, floating towards the boss and causing red-white damage upon contact with it. These ants continue to spawn even after the invulnerability ends. The second, called Fire Sprites, spawn in the south of the room, breaking the boss's invulnerability when two of them are killed. This whole mechanic happens twice in the fight, just like the old Thunderclap Quiver. Outside of the main mechanic, Tangata will use Fire Water, a targeted ground AoE, Straight Punch, a tank buster that also knocks back the player hit, and Double Smash, a Kono AoE that I didn't record since I killed it too fast. The new Tangata still retains the whole invulnerability mechanic, but it's slightly different now. For one, it now has a name called Burning What, and it has a kick-ass animation. It also has a buff on it now, telling you that it's invulnerable, and touching fire spirits will cause an eruption of fire. Unlike the old version, the fire adds will only spawn during this mechanic, consisting of 3 small ones and 1 big one on each side, and they do a lot more damage than before. The fire sprites from before are also removed from the fight. Instead, the invulnerability now breaks after all the spirit adds die, either from the party killing it or from touching the boss. Unlike before, you actually want to kill the adds, as they do a lot of damage now. As a tank at max eye level, you can see my health getting chunked even though they were blocked, so if left unchecked, DPS and healers might take little damage. Like before, this mechanic happens twice in the fight. Outside of Burning Blood, Tangata will cycle between 3 attacks, with Straight Punch and Fire Water both returning. Straight Punch now has a tank buster marker and no longer does a knockback, and Fire Water will be cast twice in a row. A new attack, Plain Pound, has been added to its toolkit, creating an AoE that starts from itself and cascades through the arena. Double Smash, the Kono AoE, has been removed. And that's all the changes to Halatali. Overall, I'm very satisfied with the changes in this dungeon. The old bosses were either really lame like Fireman, or felt like a waste of time like Thunderclap Weaver. The red-white damage from the adds touching the boss in the old Halatali were also kinda negligible, perhaps due to the power creep over the expansions, so it's kinda nice that they're actually a mechanic that we have to respect now. I do want to add though, that a unique point of Halatali was lost in the update. I've personally never noticed this until I made this video, but the final boss of Halatali was essentially a combination of the first and second boss. The first boss was about the adds touching the bonfire and exploding to deal red-white damage, while the second boss was about the boss attuning to an element and becoming invincible, only becoming vulnerable again after we defeat the elemental sprites that they spawn. Maybe it was obvious to other players, but this was an interesting discovery for me. But the fact that I've only noticed it now, particularly the connection with the second boss, despite doing the dungeon since Stormblood, means that it wasn't very well designed in the first place. Probably. But anyway, I digress. I have mixed feelings regarding the layout and the mobs remaining the same. I'm personally not a fan of the open-ended layouts for dungeons, as inexperienced tanks might run the wrong way and make it longer, but it's really not a big deal. In an ever-evolving game, where past mechanics tend to get updated and we lose a little bit of history, RIP Triple Nestrons, I can appreciate that this part of FF14 remains untouched to remind us of another time. TLDR, much needed updates to bosses, while keeping what works intact. 10 out of 10. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. See ya! Oh yeah, by the way, Yoshi P, why did we only get one dungeon update this patch when we had several updates together at once back in Endwalker? Yoshi P, please update some of that whole next, please.